Hey everyone, it's that time of year, time for the vinyl 2025 challenge. This year, Pretty Green Vinyl Guy set it up, came up with 20 questions. We're all answering them. And this is a great time to jump on board if you're looking to start your own channel. It's one of those threads that just about everybody does. So if you do it too, you end up gaining some traction and will bring some attention to your channel. So great time to hop on if you're interested in that. So let's start with the first question, which is best vinyl purchase of 2024, new or used. For me, it's not necessarily about finding some vintage pressing or some holy grail that's going to cost me an arm and a leg. It's really the music. It's being introduced to something different and hearing it, or something that wasn't available becoming available. And for me, that album is the one that's behind me, Where Are You, Jay Bennett? And this happened really recently. Gone But Not Gone commented on one of my videos, I believe it was, of Records I'm Thankful For, that he had watched this documentary, Where Are You, Jay Bennett, and loved the closing song in it especially. Now, I had never seen this documentary, and just by chance, I was on this record store's website that was having a huge sale, and they had this record. Now, I didn't know this existed. It combines two records, Kicking at the Perfumed Air and Whatever Happened, I Apologize. Kicking at the Perfumed Air was assembled after Jay died. Whatever Happened, I Apologize was put out when he was still alive, and it's like totally stripped down, just an acoustic record and his voice. And it includes a documentary. Well, I got this at like a crazy price, couldn't resist. Love the documentary, I'd never seen it before, and absolutely love these records, especially Whatever Happened, I Apologize. Kind of blew me away. You know, I'm used to Jay Bennett, thinking of Jay Bennett as a guy that has layer upon layer upon layer of sounds. Summer Teesside of Wilco. Not really used to this side of him, and I really liked it. I was really impressed, and this is something that this album I'm continually engaged with. Good But Not Gone was also talking about the song I Don't Have the Time by Jay Bennett that was featured at the end of the movie, and wondering where to find it. Hey, it's here. It's actually on this album. It's on the album Whatever Happened, I Apologize, which was initially a free download, so it's probably out there. I think these might still be on streaming too, maybe. But anyway, this is a great package. Has these two records and also has the DVD of the movie documentary, which I'd recommend to anybody who hasn't seen it. So this is my pick for best album that I've picked up. Second question is best album from 1974, 50 years ago. I believe that he meant to say 75 because we typically, because it's a vinyl tag, we do 50 years ago from the new year, which is 2025. So I'm going to pick something from 2025. So this is Patti Smith's debut album, Horses. Just an amazing first record from her. You know, she had been known as a poet. She put her vocals to music, and came out with this singular, incredible album that really put her on the map and influenced generations of music. Even a band like R.E.M, Michael Stipe cites her as his number one influence. So that's my pick for best album or one of the best anyway, from 1975. An album that defines a genre, I'd have to go with Low. Not necessarily this record, although this one is more of the slowcore kind of music from them. But their early albums pretty much invented a genre, and that is slowcore music. This incredibly slow music that really tests your patience in a lot of ways. I used to work for the label that put out Low's first few albums, Long Division, I Could Live in Hope, and The Curtain Hits a Cast. And I must say, those first shows, going to see them in like 1995-ish, they were almost painful to watch. They're great, but I would cause a major disturbance, and I'm not exaggerating. It felt like it was, just by ordering a beer, just by reaching for change in my pocket or whatever, because it was that quiet. So yeah, I think they invented that genre of slowcore. Best band from your country, vast country, United States, and there's several good bands out there, of course. But when push comes to shove, for me, I'll go with R.E.M. Number 5, an artist you miss dearly. Sinead O'Connor. I still can't quite believe that she's gone, and I thought that she'd be the type of artist that would continue to put out good material, and probably feel like she might have found her voice again, or she was heading that way. So this album, Universal Mother, her third album of new material, I really like this record. I hadn't heard it in years, to be honest, and was kind of mixed on it when it came out. And I played it the other day. I just picked this up and really enjoyed it. So probably be listening to this album quite a bit in the new year. This is Universal Mother, came out in 1994 by Sinead O'Connor. Number 6, best live album in your collection. This is a little tough. I haven't really thought about live albums that much lately, and I first thought was Johnny Cash live at Folsom Prison. But I'm going to go with Neil Young. I'm going to go with Live at Massey Hall in 1971. This is sort of Neil at his best with piano and just him playing piano and playing acoustic guitar. It's recorded so well. All the emotions there. Just the perfect balance between audience and him. And he just sucks you in with the storytelling. It was recorded so well and came out so well that his manager, Elliot Roberts, originally wanted to use this as the new album because most of these songs would show up on Harvest a year later. But Neil decided to go into the studio and record them, and this record was not released until, I don't know, probably 10 years ago, maybe. And it's been diluted. Its power's been diluted a little bit because there's so many other live Neil Young records some within months of this one that are also really good. But I still think this one is the best of the lot. So Live at Massey Hall, Neil Young. Your partner just dumped you. What album are you going to put on? Part of me thinks I'd put on like a real happy record or something from my youth, something that I've listened to forever that would just make me feel better because it would be very, very sad. Another part of me thinks I could get very dark, and that's where this album, Unknown Pleasures, comes in. Quite a dark record by Joy Division, not as dark as Closer, though. I think if I played Closer and anybody knew about it, I'm hoping they would have some kind of intervention because that would be very, very dark and a little too dark to play if your partner just dumped you. But Unknown Pleasures, Joy Division. Best sounding drums on an album is question number 8. I didn't really go with an album necessarily. I didn't go look at these national records to pick a particular album that has the best sounding drums. I just went with Brian Devendorf from The National. His drumming is as much of a part of the National sound as Matt's voice. When you take it away, which they did on Laugh Track, or not the one before that, the Frankenstein record, you notice it. And in fact, they put out a recent live record and all the drumming's back on those tracks, and I really enjoy it. Brian Devendorf is a hell of a drummer and just really brings a unique sound to the National, and is one of the few drummers as a non-drummer that I pay attention to. And I got to meet him once. I can't remember if I told that story, but we kind of gave him shit for being like the new Neil Peart, and he was just kind of laughing it off and thought it was a little ridiculous. But The National, Brian Devendorf, best drummer. Number 9 is best artist who is a member of 2 or more bands. Robert Pollard, Guided by Voices. Okay, not only do Guided by Voices put out on average at least 2 records a year, the one behind me, Space Gun, I think came out in like 2019, and that might be the one time in recent memory they put out 1 record in a year rather than like 2 or even 3. The guy is incredibly prolific. According to Wikipedia, he has been in the following bands: Acid Ranch, Airport 5, Circus Devils, Go Back Snowman, Hazard Hot Rods, Howling Wolf Orchestra, Keen Brothers, Lexo and the Leapers, Lifeguards, The Moping Swans, Nightwater, Phantom Tollbooth, Psycho and the Birds, The Takeovers, Ricked Wiki, Teenage Guitar, Boston Spaceships. Yeah, Robert Pollard. Number 10, Beatles or the Stones? Stones. The Beatles, I mean, I like both, of course. The Beatles seem a little bit more precious, a little bit more of like you're taking a trip back through time. It's like an art exhibit. You're listening to it. You're hearing new things in it every time. The Stones are just what you put on the turntable, and they sound great. And I play the Stones way more than I play the Beatles, so I'm going to have to go with the Rolling Stones. Okay, crossing into the second half of the list here. This is, you found a bag of weed. What are you going to listen to? I don't know. I don't really smoke weed, but I used to. But anyway, the album behind me is one it's by the Olivia Tremor Control. It's one that I have tried at various times to get more into, and maybe it's because I'm not taking the right chemicals. So I would probably try to put on Olivia Tremor Control, Dusk at Cubis Castle, the album behind me, And then if it didn't work, I'd probably just go to like Dark Side of the Moon. Part of the reason I chose this album too is because Bill Doss, who is one of the band's founders and main creative people, passed away recently. And I dug this out and started listening to it again. So Olivia Tremor Control, Dusk at Cubist Castle. Number 12 is an album from the 80s that you still listen to. I listen to a lot of albums from the 80s. I think a lot of people think that the 80s just has a certain sound to it. And that's true for things that were chasing the charts and, wanting to be all over radio and were kind of manufactured that way. And it's true, I think, for some older bands from the 60s that was trying to stay relevant in the 80s, and they fell into this trap of using different production techniques and gated reverb on the drums and, adding a lot of synthesizers. But there is a whole other side to the 80s of people that are just making music and making music that they want to be timeless. And they don't fall as much for these gimmicks. And an album that I continue to listen to that I kind of rediscovered recently when I got on more of a Cure kick about 2 or 3 years ago was the album that first got me into the Cure, which is Kiss Me, Kiss Me, Kiss Me. I bought this album having not heard anything other than I heard the Cure were great. And I put it on in my grandma's car, and the song The Kiss came on, and she asked if we could please change the music, and I was very glad to, because the Cure, The Kiss, and this album is not really something you listen to in your grandma's car. But Cure, Kiss Me, Kiss Me, Kiss Me from 1987. An artist with a political stance that has soured you. I would say that I used to love listening to Johnny Rotten or John Lydon be interviewed, and lately he just seems like he's trying to be provocative in a way that really annoys me, especially when he brings up politics. So I'm going to go with Johnny Rotten. Number 14 is share a favorite record label. The one that comes to mind for me is Merge, which was a label started by Mac and Laura from Superchunk. The album behind me is What a Time to Be Alive, which is just a great album, very political album, one you can just crank up in the car, one that doesn't sour me the way Johnny Rotten does. So many good albums have been put out on Merge, including 69 Love Songs by the Magnetic Fields, Neutral Milk Hotel, and the Airplane Over the Sea, Spoons, Kill the Moonlight. We've got Arcade Fire's Funeral, not to mention other bands, including Lamb Chop, Archers of Loaf, New Pornographers, Conor Oberst, The Clean, The Clientele, Crooked Fingers, She and Him, Shout Out Louds, Mark Eitzel, and on. Teenage Fan Club, Taurus, Wild Flag, M. Ward, Waxahachie. They've been an incredible label, very much an artist label, and one that I totally respect. Merge Records. Number 15, a run of 3 great singles. Now, I didn't initially, and maybe they don't need to be in order, I don't know. I was just thinking about Prince in general as being like the master of singles in the 80s. He would put out a new song, a total change in direction. He always kept you guessing. You never knew what he was going to do next. He usually introduced a whole new way of his style and his look and fashion with every video for these new singles. And I think of singles like, Little Red Corvette, 1999, and the 3 in a row from this record would be When Doves Cry, Let's Go Crazy, and Purple Rain. But then other singles after this, like where does Raspberry Beret come from? Like, holy crap, that's different. That doesn't sound like anything on Purple Rain. And then you get into Kiss, and then you get into Sign of the Times, and I Can Never Be Your Man, and Alphabet Street. Just an incredible run of singles. Even songs like Pop Life and Girls and Boys, Mountains. I mean, just no end to the amount of cool singles Prince and the Revolution had in the 80s. Number 16 is a record store day purchase that you actually consistently listen to. I like the way that's worded, because there's a lot of record store days that's just hype. It's scarcity marketing. It's a fear of missing out. It's, oh no, if I don't buy those outtakes of outtakes of outtakes on colored vinyl, I might never see that again, and I have to have that. It's like, okay, great. If you're a collector and you want that, I totally understand it. I don't care. However, I absolutely love it when there's something that comes out that is really, really a big deal. And for me, one I can think of is right behind me. Jeff Tweedy put out a new solo record. The second half of the Warm sessions resulted in an album called Warmer. Now, this is available everywhere now, but when this came out in like 2019, I believe, I was living in Oakland when I got this. It was the only way to get Jeff Tweedy's new solo record, and it was a regular solo record of very high quality. So, yes, I love it when I find stuff like this. This is one of those record store day purchases that I still listen to. Another one that I got that I really like is right behind this one, and this is Slim Dunlap. Slim Dunlap was a guitarist for The Replacements. He sadly passed away yesterday. He'd been fighting, I guess, the effects of a stroke for a long, long time, about 10 years. There was a project done about 10 years ago called Songs for Slim, which all kinds of people, including The Replacements, got together to cover Slim Dunlap songs. There was a singles version of it where singles were auctioned off. I think the original artwork and original pressing of Songs for Slim was the same way, bringing money for his support. And also, yeah, The Replacements got back together and did a new song, and after that, they ended up going on tour. So it's probably the impetus for that. Chris Mars had a song on there too, all honoring Slim Dunlap. The song behind me is not like a big outtakes thing or anything like that. It's just simply his 2 studio records, The Old New Me and Times Like This, put out as a double record, and they're great albums to have on vinyl. I had Times Like This on CD. I saw him so many times in Minneapolis. I always put on a great show, and I love that album. I had heard the Old New Me, but didn't really have it on CD or vinyl, and was able to get both of them combined. And the title of this collection is called My Old New Records, but it's basically Times Like This and the Old New Me. So Slim Dunlap, great artist. Number 17 is an interesting question, and it took me a while to figure out what I was going to respond with. It is, you can be reincarnated as any artist, dead or alive. Who is it going to be? And I mean, I thought that Shamrock Records had the best answer, Jimmy Buffett. Like, who doesn't want to hang out on the beach and put out and just play music and have fun and just enjoy your life like Jimmy Buffett did? But I was looking at it more like, whose potential got tapped at an early age and either flamed out or died. And if you were to live as that person or got reincarnated as that person, you could do things differently, right? You could take that talent and you could use it in a different way. So I was thinking of Syd Barrett from Pink Floyd. If I was Syd, if I got reincarnated as Syd, I wouldn't touch the acid. I wouldn't go anywhere near acid. I would check all of my drinks, make sure nobody put anything in it. If I had any mental issues, I would get help early on. And I would not only make Piper at the Gates of Dawn, I'd probably make other albums, but I would probably stick with Pink Floyd for a while too and put out a few records. Maybe I'd realize after a while that, give my buddy Dave Gilmour a chance to come in, and maybe Roger should do more songwriting and I just go solo. But yeah, I'm going to choose Syd Barrett. Number 18 is best 3 lines in a song. Kind of have a hard time with this one. So I just thought, who's a master of lyrics? Okay, Leonard Cohen is definitely. So I went with, I said to Hank Williams, how lonely does it get? Hank Williams hasn't answered yet, but I hear him coughing all night long. Oh, 100 floors above me in the Tower of Song. I like to picture this Tower of Song and Leonard Cohen being part of it and Hank Williams being part of it. And Leonard always gets you thinking. He aches in the places he used to play is another line from the same song that I absolutely love. Master of lyrics, Leonard Cohen. Number 19 is an album that you never get tired of. There's so many albums I never get tired of, or I come back to again and again and again and again. As far as just straight up rock records by a rock band that just sounds really good, honestly, when you're having people over or just cranked up in the car or whatever, is the album behind me, The Replacements, Pleased to Meet Me. I think maybe this stood out to me today too, thinking about Slim Dunlap passing away. This is the only album that The Replacements did as like a threesome. Slim isn't on the album, but he did join them for the tour that followed this record. This album just rocks, from questions about should they be in the band or not, like I Owe You and I Don't Care, Even a song like Nightclub Jitters is great. Red Wine, kind of a throwaway rocker, still a lot of fun. Of course, Can't Hardly Wait is brilliant on here. Skyway, man, if you're from Minneapolis, you get that song for sure. And of course, the song Alex Chilton, Nevermind. What am I forgetting? I mean, the album is just chock full of killer songs. The songwriting is very, very good on this record, as it is on most of the almost all the records. But yeah, this one I never really get tired of, and sometimes I feel like it's my favorite Replacements record. It goes back and forth between this and Tim for me. But Pleased to Meet Me by the Replacements. Number 20 is Pick Your Favorite Vinyl Channel. I have a hard time picking favorites. I listen to a lot or watch a lot of channels pretty regularly from the same people. But as far as like a channel that's new to me in 2024 that I didn't know about before then, that is actually probably like really popular with a lot of people. I think he's almost at Mazzy level as far as viewers goes, and that is Robert Fithen. I find his channel to be absolutely hilarious. The guy cracks me up. If you want to watch one of the best videos I've seen, watch his video. I believe it was 5 Records That Changed My Life. Probably about a year ago, maybe early January, February, right around that time. He does a hell of a job with it. And yeah, I never get tired of his content. He'll do stuff. I mean, he'll be sick on the couch, sick as a dog with COVID, and he'll still be doing his channel and having fun with it. So yeah, I love watching his stuff. Of course, Mazzy, he's the one that turned me on to this, if you don't know. I met Mazzy through my girlfriend, and got to know about the VC and saw a legend, somebody who's doing it so well, and his channel's just grown and grown since then. But he was definitely an inspiration. I started to think like, oh, maybe I could do something like this too, and love it. So I'm happy that he turned me on to it. I did want to mention a couple channels. I like to see Shamrock Records. He puts out some really good stuff. I don't see very much from him very often, but I love what I see. And the same thing goes for, a guy that used to put out a lot of content that I really want back, and that is Amity Tracks. Really liked watching his videos. Talked to him recently through the comments, and it sounds like he's trying to come back. But I do miss his content and really hope to hear more from him and see more videos in 2025. So thanks, everyone. It was fun doing this, kind of exhausting too. Encourage everybody else to do it. And again, if you're starting a new channel, is the time to do it. So thanks, everyone.